One team that's got proven pedigree in the ODI format, the other has just started its ODI journey. One team that goes in as the favorite in any ODI tournament that they participate in, the other can best be described as the underdog. One team that's got a tradition of producing great fast bowlers, the other is just beginning to produce some great world-class spinners. As different as these two teams are on paper, but now find themselves in a very similar situation at the Cricket World Cup 2019. We're building up to game number 21, South Africa versus Afghanistan. This is a bottom-of-the-table clash. I'm Nikhil Naz. You're watching ESPN Cricinfo Matchday UK 2019 with me, Michael Hussey, Ajit Agarkar in the studio, and we'll be joined by Albie Morkel live from South Africa. Michael, I'll start with you. Who would have thought maybe when we were discussing a bottom-of-the-table clash midway through the tournament, Afghanistan, yes, some people would have picked them, but South Africa, you didn't expect them to be here.
Yeah, without doubt. Probably both teams would be a little bit disappointed where they sit. I think South Africa definitely. You know, they've got a class team and they've performed well in World Cups over a period of time now. Afghanistan as well, though. I actually expected them to play a little bit better than what they have so far. I wasn't expecting them to make the top four or anything like that, but I expected a few results to go their way and a few surprises along the way as well, but they haven't really been able to put it together. I'm sure they'll be hoping to do that against South Africa. Big pressure on South Africa in this match. They've got to play well and they've got to get something going for the rest of the tournament.
Okay, we're just looking at the South African team and the break that they've had. Albie, I'll come to you. It's a 10-day break for the South Africans. I'm not counting those 7-odd overs that were bowled between the game between South Africa and West Indies. So effectively a 10-day break. Do you think that might just help the team regroup from the start that they've had?
Well, that's what they needed. You know, they needed to get out of that noise. They needed to get out of that negativity around the team. They started poorly in the tournament, and with the other stuff that leaked out in the media, you know, that also made it worse. So to have a break was the best thing that can happen to the team. You know, hopefully the guys went away from the game for a bit. You know, had a few beers or toured around the country a little bit, and then a few nice net sessions to bring the focus back again. So I think it's the perfect preparation. Also playing against a team like Afghanistan, with all due respect, you know, South Africa should beat them. And hopefully today, you know, they can have that kickstart they need in the tournament.
Okay, Albie, we're just looking at some pictures of Lungi Ngidi practicing there. I'll get you to play a reporter for us as well. What's the South African media reporting? I mean, earlier reports suggested that he might be available for this Afghanistan game. What is it that you're hearing?
Look, I think they would want to play their strongest bowling lineup, and he certainly, you know, if he's fit, he slots straight back into the team. I'm not sure that they will do that. I haven't heard anything. That's just my own gut feel. You know, if there's still a little bit of doubt over him, you know, he's a crucial member of that bowling lineup. So if he's not 100% ready, he won't play today, in my opinion. They'll give him another couple of days to recover, and then hopefully from next week, you know, going into the latter stage of the tournament, he can play a bigger role.
What do you make of what Albie says, Ajit? You know, we saw pictures of him practicing. We don't know whether he's 100%. Would you risk him for this game, or rather give him another 4-5 days of rest if you don't?
I mean, if he's fit, he's got to play. But like Albie said, he's got to be 100%. You don't want him to come, what we saw with Andre Russell the other day, that he's come into the game sort of not quite sure whether he's good enough to bowl. You don't want him to pick another injury. I know they have to win every game, but even if he doesn't play, the South African team should be good enough to beat Afghanistan. So you want him 100% fit. Ideally, they'd want him to play, to get some overs under him as well, but only if he's 100% fit.
All right, we'll get to know the playing 11 very soon. We'll have the toss also coming your way very, very soon. But for the moment, let's turn our attention to what's happening on social media. My colleague Anubhav is there. Anubhav, I've got a condition for you. No Jimmy Neesham. Try not to bring him. And no tweet on the weather. Can you do that? Is it possible?
I'll fulfill one of those conditions, Nikhil, so I'll leave you half satisfied.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Social Corner. Don't you love it when we have double headers? Because that not only means double the cricketing action, it also means double the delightful dose from the lively Social Corner. So without further ado, let's get cracking. Up first, we've got a tweet from Cricket South Africa from a couple of days back where they say, "Rain, what rain?" referring to the very pristine conditions that you see at the Sophia Gardens in Cardiff. And then the Cricket World Cup official Twitter handle responded saying, "Gee, we hope this tweet ages well." And from what I hear, the good news is that this tweet has has aged well because we see immaculate conditions for cricket at the Sophia Gardens prior to this encounter. Up next, we've got the South African captain Faf du Plessis, who believes that a team needs 2 or 3 real big match winners to win your contest and considers Rashid Khan, the wily all-rounder from Afghanistan, to be one of them. So Faf is certainly not going to be taking Rashid Khan or any of the other Afghanistan players lightly. Up next, we've got Faf again, who's making a double appearance. Here, he's echoing the sentiments of Indian captain Virat Kohli prior to the start of the tournament, when Virat had mentioned that all teams in this World Cup are perfectly balanced and that no particular team is head and shoulders above the rest. And so Faf clearly saying that it would be foolish to consider a team to be a minnow in this World Cup. Next, we've got the BCCI, who's saying, look who's here, referring to Rishabh Pant, who just flew into England. I'm going to quickly turn to my panel now. We still don't know if Rishabh Pant's going to get a game in this World Cup, but just goes to show that you have to be ever ready because you never know when opportunity might strike and when opportunity might come knocking on your door.
It would have been interesting to see what Rishabh Pant had been doing since the IPL, whether he's just had a break away from the game or he's continued on with his practice in nets just in case something like this has happened. So he'll have to try and adjust to those English conditions as quickly as possible. I don't think he'd be in their plans straight away anyway, so it's a great opportunity just for him to experience the World Cup, what it's like, the extra pressure around the team and everything, and that'll hold him in good stead for hopefully the next World Cup and the next one on in the future for him.
I don't know whether they can even use that hashtag Team India for him because he's not officially part of the team. He can't be.
Exactly, but I guess they're echoing the sentiments of everyone who's rooting for Rishabh Pant. Up next, and to conclude proceedings, we've got Chris Gayle, the universe boss, who's doing his version of the salute, and unlike Sheldon Cottrell's salute, his version entails wearing these very fancy aviators. Another quick, important question: which version of the salute do you guys prefer? Is it Chris Gayle or Sheldon Cottrell, or I might save you some headache by saying neither of the options?
I think Cottrell. He does that when he gets a wicket. So I think West Indies are happier as well when he does that salute.
Fair enough.
I think Gayle was doing it just when they played a defensive shot. So, so I think I prefer Cottrell's as well.
Lovely.
You got to tell him to be a bit careful with that posture. He's got a dodgy back already. I don't know whether he'll be able to bowl after such salutes there.
I'm pretty sure Chris Gayle doesn't care. He always seems to be in high spirits. So Chris Gayle will do what Chris Gayle always does.
All right, thanks so much for that, Anubhav. There's plenty of chatter there on social media. Of course, also because the rain isn't helping, we've had plenty of games being washed out in the tournament so far. The good thing is the one game is on at the Oval. It's bright and sunny, and the kind of news that we're getting from Cardiff at the moment, it is sunny at the moment, so we might just get a full game here between Afghanistan and South Africa as well. I'll continue my discussion about the Afghanistan as well as the South Africa game. Quick word on the Afghanistan team. I mean, we were talking about South Africa having that sort of gap. 7-day gap for Afghanistan as well to sort a few things out. The batting hasn't really been clicking.
Yeah, I think and they'll have to bat well. I agree with Huss. We've expected a bit more of them than what they've showed. Okay, they got caught on a couple of wickets where it did seam around, or the ball did swing around, and it's a little bit difficult. Those conditions are alien, but we haven't seen the usual fight that we've seen from Afghanistan before, particularly in Asian conditions. I think even though they used to be in a bit of trouble, there was enough fight through that lineup. Whether change of leadership has had that effect on them, we don't quite know. There was a lot of noise when they changed the captain. It seems to be at the moment showing in the performances, because we've seen better than what Afghanistan have shown. In fact, a lot of people had said they will create a few upsets this tournament, and every team needs to watch out for them. The way they're playing at this point doesn't look like they're going to upset everyone. Hopefully, they prove me wrong today. I know Albie won't want that, but they haven't looked like the team we've seen in the last few years.
It seems like there's been a lot of distraction around the team. You got the Shazad situation, obviously the change in leadership, and they need to somehow put all those distractions aside and just focus on the cricket.
Yeah, that's a lovely point that Ajit touches upon, and I'd love to have a discussion on that. For the moment, we'll just turn our attention to the pitch report. We've got Simon Dool as well as Sean Pollock with how the pitch is at Cardiff. All right, but we can still continue talking about that. I was going to throw that question into what Ajit mentions. Someone like Asghar Afghan, a proven performer, he was a regular in the ODI team, hasn't been allowed to play even a single game. Do you think it's all down to that entire controversy that you just touched upon before this tournament? Who should be captain? Players actually, saying that bring Asghar Afghan back, he's the best leader. All of that playing out in the dressing room.
Yeah, well, I don't know. That's the short answer. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors in that
but
team.
It's an indication, you reckon? Yeah.
You think he's he's good enough and he should be in that team. Ajit was just mentioning that they need to show a bit more fight with the bat there, and I totally agree. You know, and you think you get a player like Afghan in there. He's proven performer in this format of the game before. He's got good experience, leadership qualities. You think you'd want to have those sort of players around. So I don't know. I just hope they can sort out all the issues they've got going in the dressing room and on the side, and just get their best team on the park and show a bit of fight out there.
Yeah, it's not just Asghar Afghan, as Michael mentioned, the whole thing with Shehzad as well. He's not happy. He was of the opinion that he should have continued the World Cup. You've sent him back. So all's really not well in the camp.
Not really, and you don't want that. The last thing you want when you're losing is those off-field distractions. You want to try and keep the bunch as happy as you can, and that's when it's going to translate into good performances on the field. I think we've hopefully they're not going backwards. As tough as they've had it to get to where they are, I hope they're not going backwards.
Okay, as things stand right now, not great news from the Afghanistan camp. One, they're not winning, and then all this distraction that's happening on the outside as well. All right, we heard it from Sean Pollock and Simon Dool there talking about the pitch at Cardiff. The good thing there, the sun was out, and I heard Sean Pollock there talking about if the team had to win a toss, they'd love to have a bowl first in these conditions that are on offer. We'll take a short break on our show, but plenty more coming up on the other side.
If you could meet one sports person from another sport, who would it be?
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Who is the best bowler you have ever faced?
Best bowler I have faced, Sunil Narayan.
Your favourite fielding position?
Mid-off and mid-on.
If you weren't a cricketer, what would you be?
I would be a doctor.
One record that you'd love to have?
I would love to have passes 50.
Favourite holiday destination?
Maldives.
If you could bowl to one player from history, who would it be?
Sachin Tendulkar.
If you could watch one match from history, what would it be?
The match which was played between South Africa and Australia when they chased 434.
Best captain you've played under?
Asghar Sanakzai.
If there was a movie made on you, who would you like to play your character?
Amir Khan.
A song that's currently stuck in your head?
Bepana Pyar Hai Aaja.
If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Barbecue.
Your favourite ODI performance?
7 for 18 against West Indies.
Who's the joker of the squad?
Shehzad Mohammadi.
Top 3 bowlers in the world right now?
Top 3. Rabada. Mujib Zadran. And one more, Bumrah. And one more is for number 4, Bobby.
One artist you'd like to watch perform live?
One artist, Anushka Sharma.
One teammate you'd never like to sit next to on a long-haul flight?
I love to have each and every one.
One batsman you love bowling to?
I love bowling to everyone.
If you could play for any other country?
I don't have right now anyone, but I'm happy to play for Afghanistan.
Welcome back to ESPN Cricinfo Matchday UK 2019. The good news from Cardiff, the sun is out, the toss is on time. This is Simon Dole with the two captains. Okay, now I'm just looking at the conditions there. Michael, I'll come to you. You may have played a few times on this ground. I don't know what to make of it. One match we saw, I think Sri Lanka were bowled out for 136 or the other we see the game against Bangladesh and 300 plus was scored. Really don't know what to expect out of this ground.
Yeah, well, exactly right. And maybe who wins the toss might want to bowl first just so they can get a bit of a read on the pitch. Certainly when I played back at this ground, it was a beautiful batting pitch. Yeah. But we have seen at this World Cup recently that, you know, if the conditions are right, it can move around a bit. So it'll be interesting to see what the conditions are like. It'll be interesting to see which captain wins the toss, what he wants to do. And it could be just one of those niggly, tough little games for both teams.
Yeah, the one thing we certainly know about this ground, irrespective of how the pitch plays out, shorter ground. So you would expect bigger totals. Maybe that one-off, Sri Lanka getting bowled out for cheaply, may not happen very often here.
Yeah, but there seems to be some help in the surface. I mean, the ball has swung around as well. One side of the boundary seems bigger than the other one, so that might play into how the captains use their bowlers. But you'd think the way the games have gone at this venue, whoever wins would want to bowl first and make use of whatever freshness there is on the pitch, and try and restrict the opposition to a gettable score, even though it's under lights.
Okay, the little bit that we've known about this pitch and based on the condition, as you're saying, might just do a bit, which would indicate that someone like Mujib may not really make a comeback into this game.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Afghanistan should change their team. I think they just need a bit of solidarity, maybe bring in Afghan if they want to just sort of shore up the batting a little bit. That'd probably be the only change I would make. But yeah, I just think they just need some stability now. They just need to be focused on the cricket and they need a good solid performance against South Africa.
All right, it's a game that's coming up. As I said, it's a bottom of the table clash between Afghanistan and South Africa. It's a sunny day in Cardiff. We're expecting a full game and we heard the pitch report as well. If you win the toss, you would love to bowl first on this particular track. Whether that happens, we'll just have to wait and watch. The toss is just taken place in Cardiff. All right, that was Simon Dool with the toss, and as expected, the team that's won the toss has decided to field. South Africa winning that toss and have decided to field first. Ajit, I'll come to you. Now, I'm just looking at the challenges for Afghanistan. What has happened till now, and especially on grounds where you expect a big total, Afghanistan are aiming at a 300, 320. Would they be well served not to think of such a big total now and just take it, a 10 over sort of a slab?
I'm not even sure whether that's what they're aiming for. I think that looks like is the approach.
The approach, yeah.
But yes, they've got to bat 50 or try and bat 50 overs to give themselves a chance. We saw that Sri Lanka game under lights, it did go around a bit, the ball. It did seem as well. So if they can get some sort of total on the board, then they might put South Africa under pressure. I mean, I know it's going to be difficult against the likes of Rabada or Chris Morris. We don't quite know whether Ngidi is playing. It is going to be a challenge, and that's all the more reason to try and bat the overs and not just hope that things work for you. Just bat attacking and hope things go your way.
It's important they don't look too far ahead. Thinking 300, that's 50 overs away. They've got to break it down into small goals. So the first thing is the first couple of overs, or even let's break it out in the first 10. Get through that first 10 overs. Set the little platform, and then they can sort of build for the next sort of block of overs. But yeah, it's dangerous to start looking too far ahead in this game.
Okay, now we've got the playing 11. As we mentioned, South Africa have won the toss, decided to field. Have they made any changes to the playing 11? We've got the playing 11 right here. It's the same team that they played against the West Indies. Yes, it wasn't a long game. I mean, we just saw 7 odd overs being bowled there, but no changes for the South African team. I'll go across to Albie straight up. So they've stuck with Markram there. Albie, clearly, it hasn't had any sort of impact in that little knock that he played versus West Indies where he couldn't get too many runs. They've stuck with him and not got JP Dumini. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think he deserves another chance. He's a young, very exciting player. He handles the new ball pretty well. He has done it in Test cricket. Unfortunately, not carried that form over in one-day cricket yet, but it's just a matter of time, believe you me. He's a quality player. Yesterday I said they maybe must look at dropping Amla. Overnight I had a different thought process. You have to back your big players, and he's certainly one of the biggest to come good in the tournament. Yes, he's been struggling. He's been struggling for a while. You still have to back Hashim Amla. When he's in the team and on tour at the World Cup, you have to pick him. With Ngidi not playing, obviously not risking him. The wicket looks good. I just saw on my screen that the wicket there's a bit of green grass, so the ball might seem a little bit. I think it was also under covers for a day or so. So there will definitely be something in for the bowlers. And South Africa would hope to, strike with that new ball.
Just a word on the openers there. You were talking about Hashim Amla and needs some time to get back into form. We all know he's a class player. Would you be tempted then to bat him number 3, send Markram probably as the opener? We've seen Markram do really well as a test opener.
Yeah, I think that would be the obvious option, but I don't think Hashim wants that. I think he wants that responsibility to take on the new ball in the 1 and 2 positions. I know when I played for the team, that was certainly his thought pattern, and I'm sure that's why he's still up there. He wants that responsibility, and it's good when a player wants it. He's the guy, like I said, I also said yesterday, he's going to be a world great, and I'm sure he will still make his mark in this World Cup.
Okay, so South Africa have gone with an unchanged side in this game versus Afghanistan. They're hoping their big players do come good finally in this tournament. This is the Afghanistan playing 11 and surprise, surprise, finally we've got Asghar Afghan making it to the playing 11. Najibullah Zadran has gone out, and that's a bit of a surprise because he was one of their batsmen who was getting plenty of runs. But Michael, I'll come to you. This change, you expected them to make it earlier, but finally they have.
I like it too. He's got experience. He's got pedigree behind him, and I think a team like Afghanistan, they need to have their best players on the field. They need to put all the politics aside, all the distractions aside, as we've already talked about, and get the best players in that team. And yeah, so I think it's a good change. He'll be obviously very determined to do well, no doubt, and it's good. It seems like bit of solidarity and just coming together of a team.
The one thing that they've done is Najibullah Zadran, one of their top scorers. You're surprised he's gone out. I mean, plenty of other options they could have looked at.
They don't have an option who to drop at the moment. I think Rahmat's looked good, Hashmatullah's has looked okay. And so has Zadran. So it was a tricky one. To get Asghar Afghan back, they had to drop somebody. I don't think you can drop the captain.
I was just going to come to that.
No, he's looked okay. He's batted well in this tournament a couple of times. So that was the tricky part. Who do they get him back for? But clearly you need to get your experienced players back. He's had experience of playing at this level before and doing well at this level. And they need some sort of teeth in their batting at the moment. Just somebody to even hang around. Try and bat overs. Almost bat like a test match and bat time more than anything else, and they'll end up getting the runs with the kind of field restrictions you have. And once you get through the initial phase, we'll have to see what conditions are on offer once South Africa bowl. But if there's not too much, or the ball's not doing too much, then once you've got wickets in hand, then you can always capitalize, which Afghanistan haven't done so far.
All right, plenty to talk about with Ajit Agarkar, Michael Hussey, also Albie Morkel, but we'll have to take a short break at the moment on our show. We've got the playing 11, one change for Afghanistan, none for South Africa. Coming back at you after a short break.
M is for minnows. A fair number of teams have been handed the tag, from Zimbabwe to Kenya, Ireland to Afghanistan. But real, authentic minnows? Just 4. East Africa, Scotland, Namibia and Bermuda. Why? Because of the 20 teams that have played in at least one World Cup, these are the only 4 that have failed to win a single match. East Africa lost all their matches in 1975, as did Namibia and Bermuda in 2003 and 2007 respectively. Top or bottom of the pile are Scotland, who qualified for 3 tournaments but failed to win any of their 14 matches. But if you think none of these teams left a mark, think again. In fact, think of Bermuda's Dwayne Leverock and his one-handed catch to dismiss Robin Uthappa, and the celebration
Welcome back to ESPN Cricinfo Matchday. Building up to game number 21. It is South Africa, Afghanistan. 2 teams that haven't tasted victory in the tournament so far. Afghanistan have played 3 games, lost all 3. For South Africa, they've lost 3 games and 1 game that was washed out. Courtesy that they've got that 1 solitary point to show for, but it's not a position where South Africa often find themselves in. We are talking about the ICC Cricket World Cup 2019. Afghanistan taking on South Africa. Just heard from the 2 captains there at the toss. No changes for South Africa, but 1 change there for Afghanistan there. Previous captain in Asghar Afghan making a comeback into the team. But what that really does to the Afghanistan team, they've still got just 5 bowlers. We saw that being a problem in the game that they played previously, but they haven't made any change. And all the talk of Mujib making a comeback, also hasn't happened so far. I'm just now going to talk about those 5 bowler option for Afghanistan. I mean, in Najibullah, they had that sort of, we were talking about his batting, but could also bowl those off spinners. Now, with Asghar coming in, that option is also gone. So you have to now just rely on your 5 bowlers to do the job.
Do they have 5 or 9 bowls as well?
Yes.
So they've got options.
So you've got Naib,
yeah, but I think the bigger
and
problem,
the 3 fast bowlers.
Yeah, the bigger problem has been their batting. I think again, having lost the toss, they're up against it against South Africa. If they don't get enough runs, no matter if you have 5 or 6 or 7 bowlers, it's not going to help you. So at the moment, they need to get some runs. I think there's enough bowling there. If they can get some, the 5 specialists plus Naib. They've got so if they have runs on the board, there is enough in that bowling to create a bit of pressure against South Africa, who are already under a bit of pressure.
And good news that Rashid Khan's healthy again, because obviously he couldn't bowl in the previous match. He was hit nasty, but he failed the concussion test twice. So he's obviously clear now, and let's hope he's back to his best, because he's obviously the key man in that bowling attack.
Okay, just looking at the team for Afghanistan, if you remember, Ahmed Shah came out with those leg spinners and turned the ball. They don't give him too many options to bowl, but looking at South Africa's record against leg spinners won't be a bad idea.
Rashid Khan wasn't there in the previous game. I mean, when he got hit on the head, he couldn't come and field. But that's given him another option, if need be. But you would expect their frontline 5 guys to bowl well, and that will solve most of the problems. But he did look good when he bowled a couple of overs, beat I think Ross Taylor a couple of times, nicked, got a couple of nicks which went for 4. Unfortunately, wasn't a slip. So there's always options. I think first things first, put into bat. They've got to get some runs on the board to give their bowlers a chance.
All right, quick word, Albie, before we let you go. The entire contest is being built up as the leg spinner that Afghanistan has in Rashid Khan and the South African batsman. Do you think that's the key contest that might just decide the outcome of this game?
Definitely. I think Rashid is a fantastic bowler. Some of the guys would play against him in the IPL, so they would know what he's up, what he's got up his sleeve. So that's going to be a crucial duel in the game, that South African batsman versus Rashid Khan.
All right, we have to just see how Rashid Khan performs. The other thing that Afghanistan has at the moment is Ahmed Shah. We saw him bowl in that game before this, got a chance only because Rashid wasn't fully fit. But that might just give a clue to the Afghanistan team to use him against South Africa, a team that's not really been comfortable versus leg spinners. If you look back at their history in ODI cricket, I'm afraid that's all the time that we have for you, for all of you who are watching us on TV in the Caribbean. Thanks so much for joining us. It's game number 21. Coming your way. Okay, but we can continue talking. Here we plenty. I'm just talking about the Rashid Khan versus South Africa contest. I mean, just looking at the way the leg spinner really performs versus South African teams in the past, you'd say that this is where the key contest is?
Yeah, I think the new ball might be key as well. I think, again, depends on how many Afghanistan do end up getting, but the new ball might play a big part. I think you want new, wickets of the new ball. That's when your spin comes into play as well. I know I'm repeating myself, but Afghanistan need to bat well to start off the game. I think if they do bat well, then they have an outside chance of putting pressure on South Africa. If they don't do that, all the good bowling in the world might not help.
Right, but the one thing that happened for Afghanistan last time, their batting started to look a bit longer with the wicket-keeper coming in. They had to play a regular opener in Noor Ali Zatran, came in as the opener, and the young wicket-keeper Ikram comes in. So at least the batting's now longer than the one that they were playing before.
Yeah, and they're going to have to be really sharp when they come out to play today, because I'm convinced South Africa are going to be very aggressive against them. Particularly with the new ball. I think there'll be plenty of short stuff. They'll try and intimidate the Afghan batsmen. So they need to be switched on. They need to be prepared to maybe cop a few on the body and do some hard yards, I guess. But once they can get through that, then hopefully they can put a few runs on the board.
Maybe Dumini, I'm just looking at why he may not have come in. We've seen Rashid's record against left-handed batsmen is pretty good. So probably then Makram a better option than someone like a Dumini.
I think both Dumini and Miller, for the good players that they are at the moment, aren't doing enough for them. So they had to leave somebody out. I think Makram's a better choice at this point. If I had a choice, I would have let him open and drop Hashim Amla to number 3. Gives Amla a bit of breathing space, but we heard Albie saying that is not his preferred option. But for the team's sake, that may not be the worst thing. Makram opens in Test cricket anyway, so he is a natural opener. Might help them in at this stage when both Amla and de Kock are struggling for a bit of form.
All right, final comments before we wrap up. Now, we saw Afghanistan susceptible to some quick, fast bowling. Now, they've got someone like Rabada, could remember the game against Sri Lanka, and Pradeep was all over the Afghanistan batting lineup. Can you expect a few quick short ones coming their way as soon as they
without
come out?
doubt. I'm sure the South Africans would have talked about it. Let's be aggressive. Let's put them under pressure. Let's get some slip fielders in place, maybe even get a short leg in place and really try and put the pressure on them and see if they can handle that pressure. It's a big game for South Africa. They really need to stamp their authority on this match, and also for their own self-belief and confidence that they can actually really push up the table in this World Cup.
All right, interesting point you make, and that is a perfect key for me to wrap up this particular discussion, because we're talking about South Africa actually now getting a win under their belt. We heard from Faf du Plessis also talking about the motivation of the player. We heard them, they had a long break. All they were doing is go-karting, a bit of hiking. Maybe that's really helped the team regroup again, bring that motivation back. But for those of you watching our program and would like to participate in the discussion and the games that are going, you could make your own prediction. We've got something called Cricket Picks on our ESPN Cricinfo app as well as the website, and this is how you can participate in that.
Put your tipping to the test. Play Cricket Picks, the new predictor game from ESPN Cricinfo. Make predictions and track your progress throughout the tournament. The easiest thing you'll do all day. Go to espncricinfo.com/cricketpicks and play today.
Okay, let's see who the experts have picked to win this game. It's one and only Brad Hodge, city mate of Michael Hussey, picking Afghanistan there, and everyone else has gone with South Africa, including Michael Hussey. But Michael, I thought that one, you would give Brad company, the other, you talked Afghanistan up in this program. I thought you'd back them up to really come.
Yeah, I think coming into the tournament, I was expecting quite a bit. I was expecting a few upsets along the way, but they've just disappointed me a touch, to be honest. Now, I'm hoping they can turn it around. There's still some games to go in this tournament. But I think South Africa will be too strong. I really do, and they should win well.
Okay, I'm not trying to take anything away from Afghanistan, but if there was one team where you'd expect South Africa really to come back into that winning momentum, it would be Afghanistan. So perfect timing for them in that sense?
Perfect timing. I think we discussed it earlier in South Africa, and I just said that they have to win today, and they must win by a big margin if they want to have any chance in this World Cup. Today is the day. It looks like it's going to be clear skies. It looks like we'll have a full game. So South Africa can come out with that new ball, be very aggressive, set the tone, and then take some confidence out of this game into the next games. I mean, the road ahead is not getting easier. They've got 4 games in a couple of, after this 4 games in a couple of days, so against tough teams, tough opposition. So today they have to, whatever they can find, all the players struggling for form, today is the day to find it.
It's amazing that we are even discussing whether South Africa is going to comfortably beat Afghanistan or not. I mean, we've got to remember they've lost 3 games.
Tough teams.
England, England had a terrific performance against them. Bangladesh was a close game where they lost in chase, and against India was a close game. They didn't get enough runs, but it was a close game. Rohit played a superb innings. So, and South Africa haven't played at their best either. That there's a lot more to that team that they've shown. So, there have been a couple of games in those 3 losses that have been fairly close. We are discussing whether they can beat Afghanistan.
I don't know whether, I don't think Afghanistan would be hoping for rain, but if you have a shortened game, the shorter the game, do you think Afghanistan has a better chance? We've seen them do really well in 20 overs cricket, but the longer it goes, if it goes 50 overs, then you'd reckon it's South Africa.
Yeah, over a longer game, the better team generally comes out on top. The more it shortens, it does make it a lot closer, and you just need one special performance, say from a Rashid Khan or someone like that. But the other thing I think that South Africa will be really focusing on is getting their net run rate up. They're low on the table because they haven't had a win yet, but their net run rate's quite poor as well. So if they can really win strongly here today against Afghanistan, that'll just get their net run rate back up, going into the positive direction.
All right, talking about positive, that's the positive from this game that will come out. If we get a 20-over game or even a 50-over game, at least you'll have one of these 2 teams that haven't registered a win so far in the tournament at least register their first win. You're watching ESPN Cricinfo Matchday UK 2019. We are talking about game number 21. We'll see you at the end of the Afghanistan games.